Hello, everyone.
Hello out there.
It's time for another Chris and Mary show and podcast.
Right, here we are.
And we're so excited to be back again, having those wonderful conversations and just talking about things that are happening.
Right.
Right?
Just different things.
Different things.
Just whatever comes to our mind.
Life.
Because life is always happening.
Always happening.
Yeah, so we might as well talk about it.
So we might as well talk about life.
Give everybody some relief.
That's right.
On about life.
That's it. So we talked about coming out of the pandemic.
We did.
And then we've talked about fathers last week. And because Father's Day was last week, we did devote a lot of time to Father's Day. But also last weekend, we celebrated Juneteenth.
Right.
And we didn't get a lot of time or chance to talk about
Right.
Juneteenth.
So that's why you're hearing about Juneteenth this weekend. Right. Okay. So I'm going to let you start
After the fact, right?
Right.
But it's still important.
Yes.
And so that's why we wanted to just take a little time to talk about this important day that has become a federal holiday. Although many of us were celebrating and acknowledging Juneteenth long before it became a federal holiday, which a lot of people kind of had issue with. But nevertheless, I think it's wonderful for the federal government to acknowledge and recognize this holiday, this great celebration of freedom, and the end of slavery in our country.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely something that should be acknowledged.
Right. Celebrate it. Right. I totally agree with you. But here's the thing about me for Juneteenth. How about I just heard about it like about maybe a year or two ago.
Okay.
You know, only because of the people that am associated with now. That's how I found out about Juneteenth. You know, I didn't know that there was a group of people that didn't know until maybe a couple of months later or years later, that African Americans were free all over this land. Yes. And so I was really shocked about that I've never heard anything like that before. So I'm also thankful that it's become a national holiday. So I'm going to take that day off next year, just to let everybody know. When I go to work,
well in advance, I'm going to take that next year.
Right.
That's
so
right.
You take your Martin Luther King Day. I'm also going to take my Juneteenth Day.
That's right.
I didn't take it this year because I figured that, you know what, they just made it a national holiday. I don't want to make waves on my job. Right. But
because it's new.
If you're listening out there and you know where I'm employed, I'll be taking my Juneteenth next year.
And rightfully so. Rightfully so. I think that it is it's just a fascinating thing how, you know, for 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the last set of slaves were freed 2 years after it was actually signed by the president. Right. I read somewhere also that because of the way the Emancipation Proclamation, the language and the things that were detailed in it, that it wasn't necessarily them not knowing that they were not free, but that it was mandated that the states could end freedom kind of on their end slavery kind of on their own time.
Oh.
So states did it kind of.
Oh, I see.
Almost the same way segregation in the South was.
Okay, I see. Yes.
Brown versus Board of Education was passed in 1954, and it was 1960, and there were still schools in the South that were not segregated because they were allowed to kind of do it on their own time. Right. And that is my understanding of how the Emancipation Proclamation worked, is that Texas was the last state to end slavery.
Because they wanted that last harvest, last couple of harvests.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to get out and do it themselves. So, but there was probably a couple of people that already knew about it.
I'm sure.
But, when you have things that, you don't share it with everybody.
Right.
And so I feel like maybe somebody actually knew about it.
I'm sure.
But just didn't, well, we're not going to say anything. Let's get this last bit of corn and cotton before we actually tell them. But you never planned to tell anybody. You had to have a ship came and announced that.
And made sure.
Everybody.
Yeah. So definitely something to be celebrated. How did I celebrate? I celebrated through food.
Okay.
Of course, it's like one of my things, food, and so I did some cooking on Saturday and just kind of celebrated our ancestral cuisine.
Okay. So
and that's kind of how I connected and connect with, family in the past, and ancestry is through food.
Okay.
And so what did I make? I did some macaroni and cheese. I did collard green gumbo because I don't eat meat.
Right.
So, and that's one of my favorite things to make now is this delicious collard green gumbo. I fried some cauliflower.
Oh my God. And if you don't know,
some rice.
Chris here is really a fantastic cook.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I don't see my plate though. You knew he was coming here.
You know what? I should have brought some.
You should have brought me a plate.
I should have brought some.
Next time.
Yes. Next time
I'll definitely be waiting for that.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's how I celebrated, and that's kind of how we celebrate. We get together and we have food and we laugh and we have fun and we have a good time. That's kind of what our ancestral people do. That's what we do.
We've done that for years, though. Family reunions.
Yes.
Parties, neighborhood parties, block parties. We've done that for years, though. And so while we're on the subject of Juneteenth, I want to give a shout out to Afro Melanin Prince, who actually did and I know you can't see it because we're podcasting,
right?
But Afro Melanin Prince did our custom-made Juneteenth T-shirt.
Yes.
So if you're ever interested in T-shirts, go take a look at the website, Afro Melanin Prince. You can go to the website, check out what she's got.
Yes.
Support. It's a black business.
Black-owned businesses.
Black-owned business.
Which is another way that a lot of people celebrated Juneteenth was by supporting a black-owned business. Which is something that we should always be doing anyway.
Continuously.
But,
yeah, not just February.
Right.
Or Juneteenth.
Right.
But these businesses actually need your money.
Yes.
So, and I do try to support. And there's a lot of them out there.
Lots.
Clothing people, bakeries. Just, do a little research.
Yes.
And you'll find out.
Find a business to patronize.
Right.
There's restaurants. There's clothing stores. There's all kinds of things. Mobile businesses.
Right.
If you can. So.
Yeah. So we have a guest here, though.
Yes.
And
we're excited. Very excited to have.
You can take the lead on introducing
this young person here with us, who I've known for most of her life, probably. She's a singer, songwriter, entrepreneur. She is a creative. She's a conference host.
Oh, wow.
Great worship leader.
Right.
And so we are so excited to have Alexandria Brooks with us. Drea.
Right,
she goes by Drea.
I'm excited to be here.
We're so glad to have you. So glad to have you. And she's going to sit here and talk with us for a little while.
Okay,
and give us her input. Now, as a young person, what is your take on Juneteenth and the significance of it?
Yeah, I love that. I think this year it's so impactful for it to now have become a federal holiday. We just recognized the 1 year anniversary of the assassination of George Floyd.
Right.
And I think that the generation even coming up behind me, there's a lot of people, you said you didn't even know about it, but there's a lot of people in the generation up underneath me that have no clue.
Right.
So for this to happen this year, especially in a time where we're fighting for social justice, where we're trying to put an end to systemic racism, all of that is so important. And so these kinds of things where we're now making Juneteenth, what happened on June 19th, 1865, 365 a federal holiday,
Right.
we're now giving language to why we're
Yes.
fighting so hard.
Yes.
We're
Right.
giving language to what our responsibility is as African Americans to make sure that systemic racism is ended.
gone.
Yes.
Yeah, for good.
Absolutely. It's of the utmost importance.
Absolutely.
And I think that your generation is so important to bringing about that
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Because you guys have a different perspective.
Yeah.
Different point of view on a lot of things and different understandings, and you really are the ones that are gonna. Every generation does a little bit of
Right.
work,
Right.
Right.
right?
Right.
And pushes a little bit forward.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
you know, I'm excited to see such positive young people that are so active.
Right.
Yeah.
Very active, very vocal, you know, more so than the generation before me,
Right.
my generation. Just a lot of things that, you know, people are tired of tolerating.
Yeah.
Right.
And so hopefully, you know, we're on the path or the road to getting all of that solved.
Yeah.
Right.
Living more peaceably
Right.
amongst ourselves and others. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
definitely excited about that.
And I think it's necessary because there's a lot of people. Luckily, I went to a middle school, where a teacher of mine actually introduced me to Juneteenth.
Awesome.
Okay.
And
That's awesome.
it was amazing. I
Yeah.
had never heard of it, probably would not have heard of
Right.
it if not for this teacher that I had in middle school. And now we're fighting against even laws in the education system that are saying, you know, there are certain things we can and can't talk
Right.
about.
Right.
And so there's younger people who may not ever get this education and this information if not for us teaching
That's
them.
Right.
true. We
So
have
it's-
to
yeah.
keep it out there.
We
and in the
have
front, we have to
to.
keep talking about. We have to
We
keep
have to.
conversations.
Have to.
And educating.
Right.
Absolutely have to, because if not, they might not know.
Right.
So we have to continue educating ourselves so that we're not ignorant to it, so that we can educate the generations coming up behind us. Otherwise, it could die. If we're
Right.
not
Absolutely.
intentional
Right.
about making sure that this stays in the forefront, it could very well die off.
Right. Because, again, look at me. I'm well in age. I'm not that old, though, but
No.
something I didn't know about, I found out about maybe 2 years ago.
Right.
So
Right.
can you imagine somebody ahead of me or behind me
Yeah.
not realizing that this is an important part
Absolutely.
of our history?
Right.
Yeah.
And we need to know about it,
Absolutely.
you know? So it's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Let's talking about Juneteenth, but I want to talk about some other things with you, all right?
Okay.
So let's talk about your music and what you're doing
Yeah.
right now. You have a single out.
I do.
Tell us a little bit about it.
I do. So my latest single is called Just For Me, and this song is my heart. I love this song so much because it came at a really rough time in my life.
Okay.
And I think a lot of songwriters know what I mean when I say that is it really came from a tough place, and I think your greatest ministry moments kind of come from that. But so the song is out right now, and it's called Just For Me, and it's truly my heart. I love the song. I really do.
Well, I've had an opportunity, and I'm sure Chris has as well, to listen to it, and it is an absolutely beautiful
Absolutely.
song.
Thank you.
To think that, you know, our God would
Yeah.
just do something so amazing
Yeah.
for his people.
Yes.
You know, die on the cross, shed his blood, come and all that, and then somebody writes about what he's done for you.
Yeah.
But you're going to perform that a little bit later on, right?
Absolutely.
So, what else? Now he mentioned that you're an entrepreneur. What does that mean? What are you working on?
So I have a stationery business that I came up with a planner.
Okay.
So it's a mixture of a journal, if you kind of think of like a devotional book, maybe mixture of a journal with a planner. So if you have your calendar, you can plan your weeks and months. So I came up with the 6-month version of that, which is a Speak Life edition.
Okay.
So I wanted to kind of see how could I love organization. That's something people may not know, but I love organization. So I was like, how could I do something with this, but also encourage people to speak life over themselves consistently? And it came right during the time where the pandemic had just hit. So it was, people are going crazy in their minds,
Right.
enemies attacking mentally. And I was like,
Yes.
how can I get the message across that Proverbs 18:21 tells us that we have the power of life and death in our tongues.
That's right.
Speak life consistently over
Yes.
yourself. And so that's how this planner came about.
Awesome. How can we get that planner?
Yeah, you can go to www.alexandriabrooks.com and then just click the store link and it's right there.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now, Drea, you also, you and your brother Andrew also host The River.
Yeah.
Tell us about The River, because it's coming up soon.
It is.
Right? There's another one coming up soon. So what is The River all about?
Yeah, so The River was birthed, I want to say, Andrew's going to totally get mad at me if I get this year wrong. Forgive me. But
Disclaimer.
Right. Goodness gracious. But I think it started in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And how it actually happened is so funny. So Andrew thinks he's my manager, right? So he wants to, which is great. I love him. You know, it's my brother, of course, I love him. But, you know, he really wanted to push me. He wanted to get my name out there. So he was like, you know, Drea, let's do a live recording. Let's do a live recording. Let's get your name out there. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
I remember that.
Don't think it's time for that right now. I'm not ready.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. So I called him and I was like, you know, I don't think the live recording, I don't think it's time for that right now. But how about a prayer service? And when I tell you, Andrew was so confused. He was like, what? How did you go from a live recording
to a prayer service?
So I wanted to pray. What is happening? But nonetheless, he was like, okay, let's do it. Because I don't know what it was, but I just felt a strong desire to get young people together to pray.
Yes.
So we got together. We got a couple of our friends there, and we sang, we worshiped, we prayed. And it was amazing. God met us. And from then on, it was just like, okay, I don't think we're supposed to stop. God kept speaking to us. God kept guiding us and giving us direction and instruction. And so we kept going and we kept going. And then finally in 2019, we were able to host our first conference, so to speak. It was just one day, but we invited Pastor Brandon Clack. And so now here we are in 2021. We're about to do it bigger. It's 3 days this year.
Wonderful.
So God has just breathed on what we've done.
Who do you have coming this year?
Yeah, so this year we have Pastor David Wilford of All Nations Chicago West. We have Bishop Brandon Jacobs from New Zion Temple, Indianapolis, Indiana. And then Jonathan Nelson is one of our featured artists who's coming.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then we also have Kendall McDowell of Greensboro, North Carolina, Javis Mays of Orlando, Florida. My uncle, Bishop Floyd Nelson Jr., is our speaker for Sunday night. The list goes on and on. I'm going to forget somebody, but I'm super excited about it.
And the dates. Tell us the dates.
Yeah, the dates are July 30th through August the 1st.
Okay.
So it's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it will be at City of Hope International Church.
Okay.
Awesome.
City of Hope International Church. What street is that on?
Holly Drive.
Holly Drive?
Holly Drive.
All right. Where can they go and look up that information? Because, you know, a lot of people spend time on Facebook,
Oh, for sure.
Instagram.
For sure.
And they
As
really
do I.
don't look,
As do I.
look at too many videos.
Yeah.
So just in case, we have that one individual
Yeah.
who does Facebook. Where can they go to look up that information on Facebook?
Absolutely. So we do have a Facebook page. It is The River Experience on Facebook. So you can go ahead and like that page on Facebook, and it is the same thing on Instagram also. So you can look it up. All of the registration info for the experiences on both of those pages. So we would love to have you join us and check us out.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Drea, for being with us.
Thank you.
This was awesome. You have to come back again.
Absolutely. Would love to. I would love to.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you now Alexandria J. Brooks.
Where my Savior died. Cross is where they hung him high. I owe my life to Jesus Christ for thinking enough of me to save my life. Should have been me, but you took my sin. A crown of thorns upon your head. It is finished, the words you said. I'm forever indebted to you. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Thank you for your blood. Thank you for your blood. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Forever I will sing your praise. Forever I will sing. The hill is where my Savior died. Cross is where they hung him high. I owe my life to you, Lord, for thinking enough of me to save me. It should have been me, but you took my sin with a crown of thorns. Yeah. Then you said, it is finished, the word you said. I'm forever indebted to you. Jesus. Oh, Jesus. I thank you for your blood. Thank you for your blood. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Forever I will sing. Yeah. Come on, sing it out. Say, oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. I thank you for your blood. Your blood you shed for me way back on Calvary. Oh, Jesus. Hear my heart cry out. Yeah. Oh, you took my place on that cross, and without you, I would be so lost. It was your love that rescued me. On Calvary, you did it just for me. And without you, Lord, somebody tell me where I'd be. Your love on Calvary, just for me. I'm grateful that you did, knowing I would mess up over and over again. Your love kept you there. Your love for me kept you there, and you saved me from myself. Lord, you rescued me. Just for me. I'm thankful, God. You did it just for me. You carried my shame, and you carried my pain just for me. You won again. You won again. You won again. Thank you for winning for me. You won again. Oh, you won again. And you're still winning. And you're still winning. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. I thank you for your blood. Your healing blood. Your blood that covers us. I'm grateful. Where would I be without it, Lord? I thank you. Forever I will sing. My heart will forever sing. Forever I will.
Awesome. Well, thank everyone for joining in with us this week, and we look forward to talking to you again next week here at the Chris and Mary Show.
That's right. And don't forget, you need to like us on Facebook.
Yes.
Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe. All of that stuff that you do.
Yes.
Share.
Yes.
All of that.
We're on Podbean.
Yes.
Radio FM.
Amazon Music.
Yes. Yes. All of the podcast outlets. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Right.
Find us, Chris and Mary Show.
Right.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one.